The first red flag wasn't that my boss knew my husband's coffee order. The second was that her favorite restaurant's number was saved in her phone. But I didn't piece it together until I found the receipts and realized that my boss was my husband's sugar baby for the past 6 months. My name is Sarah, I'm 42 years old, and I've been married for 5 years. My husband, David, is 48, a successful construction contractor. I work as a senior account manager at the city's most prestigious marketing agency. Or rather, I was working until everything fell apart. 6 months ago, a new creative director was appointed to our company. Her name was Emma, only 28 years old, but her resume was truly impressive. A Stanford graduate with experience at major agencies in New York. Honestly, I was quite impressed at first. Young, smart, ambitious. Exactly the type we're familiar with. Emma's office was right next to mine. In the first few weeks, she was very professional, arriving early, staying late, excelling in client meetings. Everyone was very pleased with her. But then, certain things started catching my attention. First, it was the coffee thing. One morning, Emma offered to get me coffee and said, "David's favorite is a double-shot macchiato, right? With extra vanilla syrup?" I was stunned because very few people knew David's coffee preference. Even I sometimes forgot it. When I asked her how she knew, she smiled and said, "I must have heard it somewhere." Then there was the restaurant incident. While planning a dinner with a client, Emma said, "Il Giardino is great. Want me to make a reservation?" Il Giardino was David's favorite Italian restaurant. We always celebrated our anniversaries there. It could have been a coincidence, naturally. It's a well-known place in the city. But it still felt odd. As the weeks went on, these small coincidences kept piling up. Emma knew the brand of wine David liked. She casually mentioned the name of his gym. She even correctly guessed the model of David's car once. "Emma, how do you know David?" I asked, and she always gave the same response. "I must have met him somewhere. The city's small, you know." Meanwhile, David was changing too. He had more late meetings. He was looking at his phone more often. And he'd become overly generous, buying me expensive gifts, taking me out for romantic dinners. I now realize it was guilt, but back then I was just happy. One day I went to Emma's desk to drop off a file. She was in a meeting, and her desk was quite messy. As I placed the file down, something caught my eye, a credit card statement on her desk, and it had David's name on it. My heart nearly stopped. With trembling hands, I picked up the statement. David Johnson, the cardholder, and it was in Emma's possession. The statement listed luxury hotel stays, expensive jewelry purchases, designer clothing shopping, the total $15,000 in just 1 month. Suddenly, everything clicked. Emma's increasingly lavish lifestyle, carrying a new designer bag every week, trading her car for a new BMW, constantly dining at expensive restaurants, all funded by David's money. That night when I got home, David was his usual self. He kissed me, asked about my day, joked during dinner, as if nothing was wrong. But I was now seeing his actions differently. The next day, I started observing Emma more closely, the Cartier watch on her wrist. That was from the day David had a client meeting last month. The diamond necklace around her neck, coinciding with the night he went out with the guys. Everything was starting to come together. But I needed more solid proof. I decided to go through Emma's office. She had an early meeting that day, so I seized the opportunity. When I opened her desk drawer, I nearly fainted. There were photos of David, some even with me, cropped out. But the most shocking thing was copies of love letters David had written to me. Emma had copied and kept them. There was also a photocopy of David's credit card, our home address, and even our kids' school information. This wasn't just a sugar baby relationship. Emma was trying to steal my life or destroy it. At that moment, I heard Emma entering the office. I quickly closed the drawer and returned to my desk, but my heart was pounding. Emma saw me and gave her innocent smile. "Sarah, you're in early today." "Yeah, I had some work to do," I said, trying to sound as calm as possible. Emma approached and touched my shoulder. "By the way, say hi to David for me. Last night was a lot of fun." My blood boiled. "What did you say?" "I mean, I saw him in the city. Just said hi," Emma replied, but the glint in her eyes revealed her true intentions. That night, I decided to confront David, but first, I needed a plan. Because this wasn't just an affair, this was a systematic betrayal. And judging by Emma's drawer, this was only the beginning. The next morning, I checked David's phone. His password was our wedding anniversary. How ironic. The messages with Emma made my stomach churn. It wasn't just money transfers. He was sharing personal details about me. Our kids' school schedules, my work hours, even the times I wasn't home. He was reporting it all to Emma. Sarah's working late today on the Pacific Drive project, David had written. Emma's reply? Perfect. Then we can meet early tonight. Want to see my new dress? Enough was enough. It was time to change the game. First, I hired a private investigator, Mike Peterson, an investigator specializing in divorce cases. I told him everything I knew about Emma and David's relationship, and we started gathering concrete evidence. Within 2 weeks, Mike presented me with a detailed report. David and Emma's relationship had started 6 months ago, right around the time Emma joined the company. David was giving her $10,000, $15,000 a month, funding her lavish lifestyle, paying for her car, and regularly depositing money into her account. But worse, Emma had other sugar daddies. According to Mike's findings, Emma was doing this professionally. She was taking money from other married men, keeping them all secret from each other. It was time to put my revenge plan into action. First, I uncovered that Emma had used fake references to become creative director. Her Stanford degree was real, but her New York experience was entirely fabricated. The company had approved her based on false information. Second, I started reviewing David's company accounts. It turned out David was funneling the money he gave Emma from company accounts. It was not only unethical, but also tax evasion. Third, I began identifying Emma's other victims. Thanks to Mike, I found 3 other men, a doctor, a lawyer, and a real estate investor. All were giving Emma money, and all thought they were her only one. The plan was this. I would expose Emma's fake background, reveal David's misuse of company funds, and inform her other victims. Then, I'd present all the evidence to Emma and give her an ultimatum. On a Saturday, I called Emma for a private meeting. It was supposedly about a new client project. It was just the 2 of us in the office. Emma walked into my office with her usual confidence. I'm so excited about this project, Sarah. What's it about? Actually, Emma, we have something else to discuss, I said, pointing to the file on my desk. This file contains some very interesting information about your real story. Emma's face went pale. What do you mean? I opened the file and showed her the photos. Pictures of her with David, credit card statements, fake diploma documents, messages with other men. What I mean, Emma, is that you're not just my husband's sugar baby. You're also a con artist. Emma's eyes widened. Sarah, I can explain. No need to explain, Emma, because I'm going to make you an offer. I gave Emma 3 options. First, she'd resign immediately, end her relationship with David, and return all the money she'd taken. Second, I'd expose everything and report her to the police and tax authorities. Third, I had a special revenge plan for her. What's the third option? Emma asked. You thought you could play David. Now I'm going to play you. And I'll set the rules. With no other choice, Emma reluctantly agreed. The plan was this. Emma would do exactly as I instructed. She'd ask David for a large sum of money, claiming it was to run away together. David would give her the money, which she'd deposit into my account. She'd also tell David she wanted to continue their relationship, but demand even more money this time. That way, David would lose both me and his money to Emma's demands. And Emma would be under my control. The plan worked. David first gave $50,000, then another $30,000. Emma deposited every penny into my account. David thought he was funding Emma's love, but Emma kept coming up with new excuses to ask for more. 3 months later, David was out $200,000, and Emma had become a puppet under my control. It was time for the final move. I called David home and told him everything. Who Emma really was, how he'd been played, where the money went. David first denied it, then got angry, then started begging. Sarah, I made a huge mistake. Please forgive me. Emma tricked me. David, I said, you weren't just tricked. You deliberately cheated on me, put our family at risk, and stole company money. Those aren't Emma's crimes. They're your choices. I also called Emma over. When the 2 faced each other, Emma turned to David and said, I'm done with you. Sarah gave me better offers. I'll never forget the look on David's face. It wasn't just betrayal. It was the pain of the game being turned against him. In the end, I divorced David. With the settlement and the money I got back from Emma, I built a good life for me and the kids. Emma was fired from the company, her other victims reported her, and she was forced to leave the city. David now lives in a small apartment, struggling to pay off his debts. All that's left of Emma is a negative bank balance. As for me, I'm starting a new life. I founded my own marketing agency and now live freely on my own terms. My kids, after learning about their father's actions, grew closer to me. Being betrayed is painful, but sometimes that betrayal makes you see what needs to change. David and Emma unwittingly did me the greatest favor. They showed me my own strength. Now, every morning when I look in the mirror, I see a strong, independent woman who doesn't need anyone. And that's more satisfying than any revenge. David's coffee order? Emma doesn't know it anymore, because David can't even afford coffee now. As for Emma, she's probably trying to live someone else's life in another city. But if she ever crosses paths with someone like me again, she's out of luck.